Welcome to the WQI meeting, second of this month. But I guess that means there's none next month. But anyway, I'd call the meeting to order and ask for a motion to approve the June 6 minutes that were distributed.
I motion to approve the June 6th meeting.
Second.
You just have to cross my name off because I wasn't here.
Right. And then there was another thing, there was like a little weird
saw
thing
that,
in there
but-
that I.
I thought she,
Yeah, you pointed out something.
Maybe I
well,
did.
I pointed something out about the Georgia Capon thing, but I thought they said Amber, oh, it says present.
Right. Only in spirit.
Okay. Only in spirit.
It's in my
Well,
report.
you were on Zoom, right?
No.
No?
I was at another.
Okay.
Maybe I'm draining. So any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Next is the Roar application, which we sort of discussed last meeting, not last month, but this month. But I sent you the report to the town, and you know, as I said before, the house located within 500 feet of Fresh Pond, it is an antiquated system. In fact, it's not that, actually, the pool, the leaching pool itself is not that old. I mean, it's not antiquated in the fact that it's blocked, but it's the only, they don't have a septic tank. So it's just, it's not.
In effect?
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay.
use your favorite word.
Cesspit.
It's not my favorite word.
In any case, it would require an upgrade, and its proximity to Fresh Pond, while nitrogen is not so bad for the pond itself, but the pond transfers the nitrogen, as we know, to Mananic and Dickerson Creeks. So this is the nitrogen saving is about 6 kilograms a year. Not gigantic, but still something. And, you know, the only thing it appears to me that they could, if they wanted to, and maybe Meg can speak to this more, they might have room for a shallow drain field there. Do they have no interest in a shallow drain field, or is there just no room, or is there some other?
I have to look at all the setbacks to the neighbors' wells and figure out how big it would have to be to see if it can be sited there.
Because it
I
would
haven't
be,
gone that deep into it yet.
okay,
We haven't gotten the engineering.
right, it's home port, right? Well, I think we should just keep suggesting that, where we can. But for the moment, I have earmarked the undetermined well amount, $4,000 plus the 12,000 base grant for a total of 16,000. So I would recommend that we approve this, and I would ask for somebody to make a motion to do that.
Make a motion?
Second?
Second.
Any further discussion or information or anything you want? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Great. I will email her just to consider the shallow drain field. All right, then it was a new application. I don't know if anything has transpired.
So it's Block Pool, North Silver Beach Road, number 4.
Yep.
Block Pool already got approved by Suffolk County Department of Health because they started the process, then the funds got pulled, so they held off. No well movement that I know of, and no shallow pressure drain. So 12,000.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes, ma'am.
I was just looking at the survey,
Yes.
and I was going over it with James, and their well, according to this information, is inside the basement. And when wells are inside a basement, they're suggested to be taken out. So if I would suggest that we give the $4,000
in case they want it.
yes. And you find that in the older homes.
It's not an option,
I used to
isn't it?
have it in my old home.
I think it's not an option.
It's not an option. It's
Yeah.
kind of like falling out of the plane and, being subject to gravity.
Yes, again.
That's a metaphor that I didn't know that was in here.
Suffolk County didn't require them to do it. We
No, it
su-
didn't, and
suggest.
so, but I'm just looking
No,
at
I've
the
heard that
survey and.
that's what's commonly known to, you just said,
Yeah.
that when it's in the house, they take it out.
My other question is, there was a lot of tax information involved with that, added in that. Is that all superfluous?
It's all
information?
superfluous.
Okay.
Yeah,
They sent the deed, the
Yeah.
title, the tax, the registration,
Mhm.
unnecessary, but
dog's birth certificate, rabies vaccination.
Did they have a test?
see it well anywhere.
Water test?
I don't think so.
On that property.
Well, I don't see it in the basement either.
No, it says right here. Oh. This line right here, well and basement.
That's the next
Oh,
door.
that's the next property. So where is their well?
Test hole, if that's,
Is that a picture of that survey?
That's what I'm looking for.
new well,
Oh.
so there is a new well, but I don't know if it's a new well already, or it's gonna be a new well. So I think you should put the 6,000 in there, just, or 4,000 rather.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, I mean, it doesn't hurt, right?
So, I mean,
So that's the
it may have
neighbors.
been in the basement. Just,
You think that's the neighbors?
That survey is very confusing to me.
this is, I grew up in this house, I believe. Yeah. Yeah. It's brand, yeah, Russell Beach Road. Yep, this used to be the Gurney's house, actually.
It shows abandoned existing well, right? But that appeared to be outside in the front yard.
Right. Abandoned existing well, yeah.
Then there's the thing that says, like, in the,
It's too close, because of the leaching pools and everything, it had to be moved. So, yeah, so
they didn't ask for the money.
No,
they
they
didn't ask for the money, but,
They may.
you know, they went on, it's better to earmark it instead of having them come back.
putting it aside,
right, that's what I. They don't use it, they don't use it. At least we don't have to revisit it that way, correct?
They have to put in a new well in order to accommodate the new sanitary system. The existing well is probably 20 feet from where the new
Yeah, it's too
sanitary
close.
system has to go. So requiring the well be moved and like a new well be put in with the IA system.
Oh, because I spoke to,
Yeah, it doesn't
The
seem
other
like they're
day.
aware of it,
No.
because they wrote no on the
Right.
application.
okay,
But they just didn't realize, I guess.
Okay.
So let's just keep it in there.
All right, so it would slightly, your
Amended.
cover page, that we're gonna add something.
4,000, so it changes to 16,000.
Yes.
So that,
Sorry, Tui.
Okay.
I make is there any more discussion? Would you like to make a motion, or do you want more information, or?
I
So
think
it's done, I mean, it's approved.
Right. Yeah. Well, did we approve it yet?
No,
No.
no,
we're going,
meaning the county's already.
Oh, the county
Got
approved
the
it,
red
yeah.
stamp,
So
so.
it's got the red stamp, of course.
Do I make the motion?
Make the motion.
I make the motion that we approve this for $16,000 for Joshua and Kate Gardner, 4 North Silver Beach Road.
I second.
Any further discussion?
Good.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So I put outreach initiatives. Did you have any?
yes, I have secured someone who will be my first guinea pig to make a 60-second video talking about a positive experience with an IA. It's Kate Snook Rossi's husband, Tim. We're actually supposed to be possibly today, but he had a conflict, so we're gonna reschedule, and I should have it for next meeting, like a little, like
a little-
a dry run, and I'll bring it into you know, to the group and we'll see how it looks. Give you an idea what's possible. And then I was gonna actually try to get with Meg, with some other people that she might think are good candidates. Actually, there's another neighbor of mine in Silver Beach who has an IA and has been always talking about how great it was, so I might approach that person as well, so.
Did we have anything to do with it?
Yes, we did his application. Yeah, we did.
Okay.
So I have a couple of comments to make. One is that I zoomed in on the Friends of Georgia
Oh, yeah.
Capon meeting that they had. And it was interesting in that they kind of prioritized the area, you know, what houses should get IA systems. And then they had one of their representatives from the Friends of Georgia Capon to go around and approach these people and talk to them about IA systems and where the money comes from and why they should put them in and things of that nature, which I found kind of interesting. And the other thing I heard was, and this was not from the meeting, this was through the grapevine, that the person who's the head of, or the president of the Friends of Georgia Capon right now, Sarah Davidson, is stepping down and supposedly Fred Thiel is taking over. So that's going to be an interesting situation. So I don't know if he'll be the one to go out and try to convince people or whatever. So one of my thoughts is, you know, if we could get like the gentleman that you sent the letter from, that's the head of the Silver Beach Association,
Yeah.
to get either him or maybe one of
Still
his
Sherrod, yeah.
people to, you know, kind of talk to the people either at a meeting or, you know.
Actually, we're doing, I'm on the board with him, so we're doing that. That's-
Okay.
So the
So that's-
So you
pamphlet.
can flesh
I
out.
shared the pamphlet with you
Right.
guys, right? So
Yeah,
the
yeah.
pamphlet that I
Yeah,
texted,
Silver Beach.
attached to you guys a couple weeks ago, that's the pamphlet that we're using, and we're actually going door to door. Now, our thing is a membership drive. It's not per se about IA at all, but
Right, but it's
but-
slided in under the rug.
But it's the method of going door to door. And so far, we've started doing it, and one of the big concerns actually is water. Everybody brings up water when you just go talk to people. So, but I think something like that for IAs,
Mhm.
like, and we pick a neighborhood, or, you know, we make our own pamphlet, let's say, and we give it to all the associations, and then their boards or their representatives can go, and or we can, as
Yeah,
a committee, we
I
can.
wouldn't, if you had a pamphlet, I wouldn't object to going to somebody's house and
That's
knocking
out-
on the door. Or
Yeah, that's outreach. That's,
Yeah.
actually, we had talked about this like a year or two ago. This came up in our committee.
Mhm.
You do remember, everyone remembers talking about this, but we were gonna maybe do
We're
some
gonna
kind
try
of
to
like.
find somebody. As I recall.
It seemed like it was us, right? That we were gonna do it, or we were thinking about, we were talking about the idea.
Turn came up.
Exactly.
I don't know, but I think you have to get in front of people. And it's, so far, it's been really nice, like, you know.
Well, I think, you know, dated, not dissimilar pamphlet, you know, threefold kind of thing.
Yeah. It wasn't, honestly, that job wasn't that expensive, you know, trifold with, and it has a scan code on it. So we could have a scan code for, you know, anything that we wanted pertaining to IA.
My only concern is if, you know, we do decide to go door to door, we should discuss what to tell these people when certain questions come up with, you know, like, for instance, I was talking to Alice Dupree, who is part of the Menantic Creek Keepers, and she's put a system in. And so I approached her and asked her what she thought about it. And she, you know, she's so gun ho anyways, she didn't feel like it was much of a problem, but she's been talking to people in Menantic, and the concerns that come up is that is, you know, the whole question, if I find out that my well is, you know, bad and all this, how is that going to affect my property? Well, these people have to prove that they have potable water anyways if they're going to sell their property. I mean, that's part of the
Right.
whole thing. So, you know, and then the other people's concern is that there's a lot of lots on Nemantic Creek that doesn't really have enough area to put in, you know, with the well and the
Yeah, but
septic system in
any,
it.
the best fit, right, Meg? I mean,
Yes.
you know, it's an improvement over what's there.
Right.
You know, so I mean, I think they do make, you know, exceptions for, you know.
So variances, do you have to go to the town for a variance? or
No,
how does
you,
that
the
work?
health department, you don't go to a board of review for that, do you?
It depends on the type of variance. If it's to your own well, sometimes the Department of Health will do an administrative variance. If it's impacting neighbors, then they might send you to board of review. It depends on the type of variance you're seeking.
But usually, whatever you're putting in is an improvement over what's there.
Right.
So, you know, either you leave what's there and it's bad, or you try to make it a little better and make the best of the situation.
That, and of course, the expense, everybody's afraid that they're not gonna get paid by the county and, you know, the town and everything else, and.
Speaking of that, when I spoke to Kate Gardner, she said that Suffolk County is giving out money again?
Well, she has a blocked, is her system?
Because it's a
considered
block.
failed? Yeah, it's a blocked system, so she'll automatically get the money. Even at that meeting, the Friends of Georgia, they said that it's all dependent on the November, what is that,
referendum.
bond referendum, yeah. So that was I thought it was excellent. Tom Volley, who is part of Gobler's group, and does a lot of the work there, gave us slideshow that was really, really good. I, you know, was very informative. So I thought it was a good talk. Maybe we could even have him come here, or we could have maybe something at the library where he could come talk and give his presentation. I don't
Did they
know.
tape it by any chance?
I think it was recorded,
must have.
yeah.
We could just watch the recording maybe on our own.
Yeah, that's true. The person you'd have to ask, probably the best person is, I don't know the girl's name. She's in the town of East Hampton, and she's the one that, you know, does all the paperwork and stuff for this stuff. She'd be the one to find out where the recording is.
I mean, speaking of outreach, an initiative, maybe we should put something out as a committee encouraging people to vote in a positive way on this.
That's a good point too.
I mean, I don't know if that's, you know, I mean, I think it's important to try and get the county on board, you know, with having a renewable resource, you know, funding for.
Yeah.
I don't know if that somehow flies in the face of our mission statement.
I don't think so.
In terms of the outreach and, you know, what I've handed out is a spreadsheet that comes off of, it's an amendment of Amber's sheet. And basically, it's sorted right now by the date that the town money was paid to these applications.
I see. Yeah.
And it's not as clear, if you look at it in color, and I'll send I'll send this, it's an Excel file, I'll send this out to everybody. You know, the last, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, the last 8 applications have all had a net cost to the applicant that we weren't covering. So as we talk to people, if, you know, I have phone numbers, as you talk to them and say, so how were your issues? These last 8 are probably gonna come back and say, well, you know, I thought I was gonna be covered and I'm not. And you go back and see that, you know, earlier, we did a little bit better and, you know, we were
Well,
covering.
there's pretty consistent that there's been owner costs. Not just the last ones, but if you look throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, you know, I have not looked at it on all counts. I know when I just like looked at it and said, okay, you know, we're not covering the entire cost right now. Which I think the expectation,
But we never did because the county money was always there and the state money was always forthcoming. Like, you know, we didn't expect the fountain to, on one side to dry up, right? That's,
Well-
so our grants were always
every time it's, you know, again,
I'm
you
looking
can't
at the
see.
grade, well, you can see this part that's like grayed out going, I'm looking back at like Schaefer, who was
Yeah.
number 5, it's grayed out, but it's got 6,249.
Right.
Now, I don't recall what, but they had a very,
Well,
very
that's the
high,
town grant,
yeah,
you know, the cost of the project.
10, 10, and 15.
Well, total cost was 41,000 and change.
Right, so we didn't cover it all.
Yeah.
But, you know, that column there is excess cost to the client. What you see grayed out on your page is, you know, that's, you know, they paid, Schaefer paid $6,000. You know, the grants did not cover $6,000, over $6,000 of their expense.
Right, I see that, yeah, because 50. So, I mean, we didn't, I have to do a procedure, but it looks like we've always had some applicants that, like, we had a whole
Oh,
slew of
certainly,
people, and Ryan,
certainly so.
like, number 19 through
Yes.
23 was, those people had a lot of, put it a lot there.
Even some of these systems they're failing, I mean, they probably are netting out paying what they would have paid for a conventional system. You know, if they're fixing,
Yeah.
if they're fixing a failed system, which a lot of these were,
Right.
if they were just fixing it, they'd end up paying about $10,000 anyway to do it.
And you look at the Schulman on Tuttle Drive, at 22,000, but, you know, maybe lumped in there is a lot of cost for
Repiping in the house.
repiping in the house.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big-
Landscaping,
big.
you know, who knows what they've thrown in as the, and that's a lot of money.
Yeah, it is.
It's very special. Well, that was a wetlands DEC variance, so they had the trifecta. It was in the wetlands, it needed the DEC and also needed variances because of the neighbors.
Well-
So things like that, like Schulman and Karasek, Carol Karasek is another one.
Carol, correct. Which one number is that?
35, item number 35.
Yeah, she's right on.
That was another one that required DEC approval, required a variance, and is in the
Okay.
wetlands. So there was a lot that they had to go through to get approval. And because of groundwater, their systems had to be designed to accommodate that. So typically, either pressurized shallow drain field, or in all of these cases, it was a lot of very narrow galleys. So you end up doing like this whole field
Yes.
of concrete galleys, which gets expensive.
Yeah.
Especially when you have to backfill the whole thing with sand, and it's pretty deep to sand. You're digging into water to find sand, and then you have to backfill all the way up, and then you have to put it in. So they get expensive when you have to do that much to make it work. So some of these expensive ones were situations like that, where there was really no good way to do it, and you had all that red tape to go through.
So, you know, if that is the conversation by these people, we don't want to use those to the outreach. You know, and is there something that we can do to try and cover the cost, I guess?
Well, that's what my next question would be in pointing this out. Are you doing that to say we should up the amounts or?
Yeah, if we're gonna go out and try and convince people to do this, for what people may know about this sort of information, you know, if their circle of friends have heard them say, yeah, it cost me $25,000 out of pocket,
Yeah.
you know, we're gonna have trouble convincing people that they ought to jump into the IA system.
Well, the only thing we can do is, there's only two ways. You can increase the grant or you can work on a loan system. That's it. There's only two possibilities. Right? I mean,
I think we probably ought to just think about it
Yeah.
and, you know, the next time we get together, we can talk and say, okay, I may call some of the people on the list here.
And all of these were approved a while ago.
Yeah, the last two columns, which, you know, which is part of Amber's sheet, it's the start, the days, and that's the days and the years it cost from the project. I'm not sure when the start date was. I think it was when the.
Well, if you say it.
I'm not sure which, I don't remember the formula now, but it was It was, I think, the town board approval, to set the money aside. So,
Use the red stamp as the start of the 3 years.
yeah, I think that this column, that those two columns were based on when the the town board said, okay, well, we're gonna set aside the 16,000, whatever the number is, to the point of when they got their check, when we paid the applicants. I believe that was the setup on the sheet. And Amber is shaking her head, said yes, so.
So Amber, does that include any landscaping or that's just,
No, for most of these, I mean, I think the early ones, everything was included. So the earlier years, if you see the total cost, I think people were submitting everything. I think in some of the later ones, especially, I'm seeing a number of more recent ones that didn't make it onto the spreadsheet because I think they were down further in the spreadsheet and didn't get moved up yet. We didn't see the total cost because people knew I'm only going to get reimbursed for 6,000.
We didn't bother.
So they didn't bother submitting more expenses.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I thought I saw something the other day, maybe I misinterpreted. So we have arguably like 91, 93, something like that in the ground,
Yes, but what we've made.
That we've been involved in.
well, that are completed though.
You mean island-wide?
Yes.
210.
But we weren't involved in.
But you
200.
guys weren't involved.
Oh,
Maybe 90 is the number.
We paid out 60.
but this number, and
These are just ones that we've.
I'm not sure what.
the numbers don't
Yeah,
match.
the formulated fall through.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's one that needs to come off, the number 32, Shield.
Yeah, Cucarulo.
They sold the property or ended up doing an expansion and refunding the 6,000.
Okay.
Oh, I
And
see.
then I've got a bunch that I'm looking at that aren't on here. So my number is 60.
But 210,
So I just remember that Lori Beard Raymond came, you do remember that hers took forever, right? Wasn't it? She kept coming in
It
and
still
she,
hasn't got the second
but then
one.
is that her Raymond on 60 West Neck Road?
That was the rental house.
Oh.
And then she was also.
Because I was gonna say, it almost says 0.5 and I'm like, wait a minute, it's she hasn't even gotten.
Okay. For some reason.
That one's been installed, it's just, she's waiting on paperwork. She's waiting for the green stamp.
can I make one more comment about something that surprised me in the Georgia Capon thing? They had, on one of the slides, they said that the county pays $5,000 for a pressurized drain
Right.
field.
That's true.
But I didn't realize that. I thought we paid the $5,000 because we always had,
We started doing it.
Yeah.
We just started doing it,
oh,
but,
we just started.
right. The county always did it.
So they're actually getting $10,000.
Well, they're getting 15,000.
Yeah,
No, I'm saying,
no, for the pressurized shallow drain.
Oh, yeah, yes.
okay.
It's 5.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. I thought just we as the town was paying $5,000. I didn't realize that this county gave $5,000 as well.
But didn't we used to pay 2? right?
Yeah, something
The
like that.
old number, so at one point, they were paying more than we were. The county was giving more than our share,
Okay,
but now we're.
Now we're even.
About equal, right? Yeah.
all right. So that was my mistake at the meeting. That kind of took me by surprise.
Well, still a good thing to encourage people to do. I mean, when you look back, you know, with those people who got 15,000 as the base grant, you know, a lot of them had not very much excess cost.
Yeah.
But in essence, we're doing better than that because we're giving them
Coming back up again.
16,000.
right.
And
Well, actually, more with the 5,000.
Well, no, I mean, we did the
pressurized-
pressurized drain field and,
Right.
you know, there
That's
was, if there was an
21,000.
income thing, I mean, they could, you know, so I mean, I don't know how much more you're gonna, you know, there's costs to living on Shelter Island. I mean, And I think, you know,
So is this part, so this whole thing we're talking about, we jumped to 7 for, this is counting as, this is not counting as your financial report, right? What?
This is not our financial.
Okay.
report,
No, because I
This
thought I
is
heard you say
basically-
you borrowed it from Amber, and I thought it was like, we're just.
Well, some of the numbers.
Okay.
I have a detailed rebate schedule that I keep track of.
So we,
This is like, basically, this is from Greg saying that if we're gonna do all this outreach, we have to keep this in mind about people are
That's
gonna
basically,
gonna come up.
you know, that.
so there's still 30-some outstanding in process. So that would skew this average length of time, I'm gonna guess.
well, I mean, I got, for my daughters, that was like 2018 or whenever, that was, and it's still,
Still not done.
well, it's the county, you know, they have to get the green stamp from them, and it's like, it's torturing, everybody.
So I think that's gonna be a
You
hard
have-
part too.
It's typically the well.
It's the well, it's, you know, it's just the
So
net.
can I just suggest also, like, in line with what Greg said, that,
Renee.
sorry, that people could be potentially questioning, like, you know, well, how much do I have to lay out? And the other thing is like, how long is it gonna take me to actually get, like, let's just say they're all gung ho, like, sign me up, and then how are we gonna feed them the reality of, like, it might
Right.
take,
The system's been in, I mean, you know, it's been in for,
but that's a hard sell,
years,
like, hey,
yeah.
this is a
But
great
you-
thing,
but
but
you
you
went
might
out
not
of
get it
pocket.
for like 2 years.
right.
There's still a lot of
for the
people. I
total
think, out there
amount.
That believe that that this is still.
You know, the county and the
that
state.
Comes in as income, you know, I said, as long as that, you know,
that was paid.
that's
but not
not, you
the
know,
town.
that's
Yeah,
been
that's
fixed.
what's
Oh, then people.
So the
don't know
county
that.
will pay you before they give you the green stamp,
Yeah, yeah.
and the state.
So
So-
why isn't the town paying?
So why don't we?
Because we don't have the
We
green
can be
stamp.
stricter than the.
Does that make
But
sense?
that's part of our criteria to get paid.
Right, I get
But
that.
does that make sense? If they-
You guys can
I don't know
catch
if
up.
it makes sense or not, but it's the final saying that you put the thing in like you said you were gonna put it in.
But we know it was
and
put
that's,
in.
You know,
Because
I mean, you know, I sinned because I said it's in.
The county's also started issuing letters, so after the health department comes out and does their final inspection and the system's up and running, now the health department issues a letter saying the system has been installed and inspected and it's just pending paperwork, and if pending paperwork's fine, you're good to go. So now they started sending those letters out too, because I think East Hampton or Southampton will start their town grant process based on that letter saying that it's been installed and it's been inspected. But each municipality has a different rule on how they do
We
it.
could discuss amending that. I would recuse myself if that was the case, but,
Well, okay, but the point is, if we're trying to do an outreach, and one of the questions that people ask is,
Well, they may have heard about this and
Yeah.
they're telling us.
and we've,
Yeah.
so the point would be that we've changed it. I mean, the goal is to get the people to put it in the
Right.
ground. And
I mean, you could
It's
consider
hassle-free.
using the county letter then.
if the county pays, like,
Okay.
you know, what's their trigger for paying?
All the paperwork has to be submitted and the inspections have to be complete.
So it's got to be in the ground.
It has to be in the ground. The inspector has to come and sign off that it's installed correctly.
Okay,
And all of the paperwork by the installer and the engineer have to be submitted to the health department. So they need to receive the certificate of installation, the certificate of abandonment, the triangulations that show all the measurements to all the parts. The operation and maintenance contract has to be submitted along with the Suffolk County registration for the septic system.
So all those things have to happen.
Plus the engineer's certification that it was installed per his design. All has to be
That was all
submitted
basis.
before they'll send you, yeah.
So how is your well holding this up? Is that not approved by the public health?
Now, the well got moved, you know, and it had high manganese,
Uh-huh.
among other things. It had some really funky stuff, you know, it stunk, you know? And when we did, you know, testing, we tried charcoal filters, we did this, you know, everything that could be done. The county came and tested it. They couldn't quite pinpoint any specific problem with it, you know, but it smelled. So finally, I said, well, why don't, we're gonna pull the point up.
Right.
And we did. But then the Jackalope, who's the well driller, he gave the amended certificate with the wrong date on it. So it showed that the well test that was bad was after the point was pulled up. You know, so it just, that, we've, it has to, we had to get yet another water test.
Which
And-
takes time.
Which we did. Now the health department has everything. Now they just have to do something. But that's how it just kept going, like,
So right now it's the health department that's holding it.
yes.
Yeah, and with the wells tend to hold up closing the process. Most of the time, it's the well's problem, not the septic system. Once that's kind of in, it's done. And then the well has the whole testing procedure. So if you're putting in a new well, then you have to get a new water test. If your water test is too old, you have to redo it. If you redo it and something shows up, now you have to remediate it, or you have to put in a new well. You have to get a covenant if it's too high
Yeah,
in certain
if you have anything wrong with it,
So,
you need a covenant.
right.
And that's, or worse, you need not the board of, maybe the board of review,
Yeah, you'd have to go.
There's
you'd have to
another
go through
step
a
that's worse than the
process,
covenant.
Getting it on the deed.
Yeah.
But there is like a review process that you have to go through, and there's like a series of remediations you have to do, and you have to prove that you put in the proper filtration, or sometimes it's easier for people to just put in another well and just, so it really depends on your situation, and the well can be that kind of wild card where you don't know what you're gonna get until you start drilling.
So we're saying to people, well, if I don't have to move my well, it doesn't matter because what doesn't have to be tested, is that right? Or does it have to be tested?
Yeah, it doesn't have to all the time. If it's like a best fit septic upgrade, you don't have to test your well. If it's a full permit review, because maybe you're doing construction, then you'll have to test your well. It depends on the situation. If it's an emergency septic repair because you have a collapse, they're not gonna make you do your well.
Right. I will say though, pulling the point up, the thing doesn't even need treatment now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like,
Sucking muck, were you?
You're probably in.
It was sucking something bad.
Yeah.
anyway,
Okay, well, that explains
that's
the
it.
process.
So next meeting, you might have something to show us, and maybe we could think more about if we wanted to, put out a statement to, the voters of Shelter Island about.
Well, that's for November.
Hmm?
That's for November.
Well, I mean, but you gotta start somewhere, to think about, and because, there are candidates out there, what do you think of this, I mean, grill them.
And, well, Green Expo, certainly we could have a poster for that.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. So, and then we gotta just pick straws, see who's going door to door besides Julia.
Everybody's doing the other door to door.
What was that?
I'll help you do that.
Okay.
I'll help you.
What did you say? Who was going door to door?
No, instead of going door, just me going door to
Oh,
door,
oh,
I need
okay.
a posse with me. So,
Anyway,
Don't go with the bow and arrow, that's all.
And the chick
I'll make sure I'm
costume.
wearing a skirt.
The chick costume.
Make sure I'm wearing a
Are you
skirt.
ready to sign up?
Sign up there.
so number 5, the WAC's irrigation forum that was at the library a week ago or so.
Yeah, I missed that. How'd they
It
go?
was good, I mean, it was sort of the choir was there, but it was good, and when they tied in the pressurized shallow drain field as as a helpful to irrigation, so it was good, and it was a pretty wide ranging discussion, even down to why the stand on Peconic Avenue is gone. So there was a lot of,
Oh, our sign about water or
No, no, I mean, I know, I heard somebody complain about that sign.
Yes, somebody complained about our sign.
I mean,
Why is that still here? We have plenty of water.
you know, it's ugly, I don't like
The
it.
arrow says everything's swell, right?
Yes,
Normal.
they basically said the arrow is good, so why don't we take it down? And I was like, the point is to, so yeah, educate yourself so you know that it's good right now, but at any point it could go bad, so.
I was surprised to hear that,
Yeah,
or maybe not surprised, but maybe.
The thing at the library was interesting because it was around, you know, Peter brought.
An eclectic group of people.
Yeah, and it was, you know, and it got to the point sometimes, you know, at least I can barely take one conversation at a time, and there would be 3 or 4 conversations, everybody was chatting.
You know, but the technology, a lot of the thrust was the technology of irrigation and how it's evolved with emitters and everything. It's pretty involved and complicated. But it's much more efficient than, you know, the evaporation method, you know, where you're putting it on the surface and a good part of it evaporates. You know, so, but I like the whole thing because it tied in the shallow drain fields.
yeah.
That was good. Then number 6, you know, we had Joe Panara who reached out to me, you know, this past week, and, you know, there's some dissension in the town board about whether, you know, there's a need for water testing in other areas before the center is fixed, which, you know, could be a decade or more before the center's fixed. So I'm not sure if I misread that or what, but I mean, for our purposes, you know, that grant may not be imminent. Joe is still proceeding to try and get all the information together to present it as a grant request. But there is not a unified point of view on the town board as far as I can tell.
I did send you guys, because Doug Sherrod reached out to me. I wanted to
Yes.
Make sure that you had, our committee had the letter, so I sent the letter to you.
Yeah.
Through him.
Thank you for doing that.
So is that sort of correct?
Yes, and he is continuing conversations with Suffolk County Department of Health because he wants to
Right.
make sure that they have the capacity to handle
The test.
this testing load coming on. So he didn't have that information to present
Right.
this evening, so that's why it's getting pushed to next meeting.
The whole topic of precedents that, you know, when we approved, when we sent the center nitrate study up to the town board, that was based on, we were saying, we're really trying to advertise and get people to say, oh, I should get my well, you know, and we would start to get that moving. We would start, you know, now, the way that the test was run, I don't know that we know if anybody is even thinking about going for an IA system.
There was only
Well, I mean, you know,
Kraus, right?
pardon me?
Kraus was the only one.
Kraus, and he wasn't really part of that.
Oh, no, Kraus was just in the mailing, right?
You know, he was just, you know, that wasn't part of it. I mean, not, to my knowledge, no one from the center has reached out
And we,
because of that particular.
we wouldn't know that anyway, because we don't know.
Well, we do, you know, they would say, well, we got this card, you know, I got this card. It doesn't mean that we know what the water test is. I mean, the fact that we know that they were tested.
Yeah,
But we also, the sole reason for our signing off on that project was not in the hopes that it would then spur people to get IAs only.
Right.
It was also a water quality.
It was a water quality issue that we
didn't just
were,
sign off on it only because we wanted that people to get IAs.
we just piggybacked on it.
Yeah,
Is what we
right?
tried to do.
That was I mean,
no,
that's.
I don't understand what you're saying, I'm sorry.
If I will make sure I heard you correctly, like, so at the point that we funded that water testing, it was not on the premise that this is only a valid project, only if people then from this go and put IAs in the ground.
Correct.
To my way of thinking, it was to trigger more involvement with the people in that area, and that they were gonna say, oh, look, I should think about doing this.
Well, yeah, well, that was the hope, that was a hope,
That was
but,
a hope.
but it was also to kind of quantify what the problem was, I mean, in the center, and how much of a problem it is, and.
It was also to see if it was accurate that there really was a
Right.
problem, because there was some discrepancy in information, so we had to make sure that the problem really was a problem. I mean, I'm sure I'm not the only one remember, I mean, that's not, we only signed off on it because it was a water quality project.
Right.
It's under the other part of our legislation, it wasn't under the IA part only, at least that's.
So it was just, like, we came up with the thought, well, if these guys are that interested in their water, maybe they'll be interested in getting an IA system.
Right, well, yeah, but that was like piggyback.
Right, exactly, but it wasn't why we voted that way,
Correct.
that I recall.
But we did expect some kind of a outcome.
Better than one.
I expected there would be more interest.
With a no outcome anyway.
And even if you can't quantify whether they.
I'm saying that we expected, we said this project had an outcome, it had data, it had results, and then hopefully that creates an action plan on what to do.
Well, you can't create an action plan because you don't know where it has to be done, but you know
Well, it's sort of,
a better picture of the condition, which is varied, right? I mean, I'm not a technical interpreter of these things, but the results were varied. It wasn't like there's a blanket, the center is.
right, no, I mean, there were some places that were okay and some places that were not so okay. But it was not quite, I don't know what I expected. I expected it to be worse.
Yes.
And
I'm not saying it's not bad, I just expected
It
it,
was bad in spots, that's
right, a couple of
weird.
spots here and there, yes.
you know,
And also the discussion,
You went over, remember the slide presentation that Greg went over all this, we had a slide.
Yeah, yeah.
presentation
Right.
A couple, like last month.
you know, when you see this map,
Right.
you say, oh, man, there's the big red, the big red blob, the triangle. And it's more of an amoeba.
So,
Right.
so my question is, since we're trying to have this pamphlet and initiate people, what can we conclude, or can we conclude anything as to why people aren't taking action?
I said it in the last meeting, unless people like see a problem, they're not thinking about it.
But
Right.
but they got the results, they got the results from their well, I mean.
and some of the
if
results were
something-
terrible.
Right. That's, to me, if I got that result and I saw the amount of nitrogen, I'd say to myself, look, something has to be done here. I have to do something about this.
Yeah, but it's like, this is how I see it, it's water, right? And if you don't smell it or taste it, like it's just, I'm not saying I'm this way, but I think the average person is just, they have to see a problem to know it's immediate. And until they turn the tap on and brown's coming out and it stinks like yours, then people are in a frenzy. And then they're gonna be out the next, like that day to do something about it. But it's water, if they take it, it's a resource you take for granted. People are not thinking about it. That's my.
Well, they should be testing it for their own edification about, what's in there. I would test, like, I try to get the county come once a year.
Well, as I understand it from the WAC meeting, it's between 50 and 100 samples the tests can be done, and that's it. So what do we have, like 2,700 homes on something like that? It'd be a long time at 50 a shot. You were talking about decades?
Right, right.
Bingo.
And something else, I just thought of something else. So when I used to rent, it's very interesting. People that would rent from me were always shocked when I said, you can drink the tap water. They were like, what? And they'd come with all this bottled water in their car. So I wonder if people are just so used to.
I think people just
they're used to
gun
like.
shy about drinking something that comes out of
Like
the
they'll
ground.
wash with it and they'll do their dishes with it, but they're not thinking like, oh, if I can't drink it out of the tap, I'll just go buy some bottled water. A lot of people hauling in a lot of water. And then when I say you can turn the tap on, like it's good, it's rock water, it's good, at least my water's okay so far. But I don't know.
The other topic having to do with,
Yeah.
I think, what the town board is, that, that one of the things that got spoke to at the WAC meeting, I guess it was that, well, because we funded the nitrate study in the center, that we had set a precedent to do Silver Beach and the Menantic Peninsula. So the precedent has been established, And you have to, I mean, that was the phrase, I think. It was, says you're gonna have to pay because you set the precedent. So,
Well,
Well, they have to come before.
to my
then they
thinking,
pay.
we didn't really, because
Yeah.
we were advertising for the hot zone on the
Yes.
island, you know? and-
Well, they
I
came
mean,
first, they came
and this,
first.
this is, you know, in the area that we're talking about now, there's other issues, you know,
salt intrusion.
you know, of equally concern, you know, as nitrates.
For our money to be spent on other than nitrates, though, our money cannot resolve salt intrusion.
Correct.
We can, you know, if there's nitrates in the water as well, we can make the aquifer better for everybody in the neighborhood, not just my own well, you know? I mean, if I do a system, everybody that's downflow is gonna have a better water quality. But I don't know what the town board's conversation was like. I didn't see that meeting, so I think it's something that we have to.
Well, we're gonna get the proposal from Joe, probably the next, you know, in August. And we'll see. Then we make a recommendation what we think, and then they'll do what they think.
Yeah.
But again, it's only gonna be what'd you say, 50 to 100 sample. So it's a sample, not a blanket.
Yeah, but as Peter Grant likes to say, the more information you have, the better you are. So whether it's 50 or 100, that's better than having nothing. So, and I kind of agree with him, but I also agree with Greg in the sense that knowing where these wells are would contribute a lot to the scientific you know, accuracy of what's going on with the water and the flow,
Right.
you know, ground flow and all that other
And we
stuff.
don't, I mean, so I think what James said is important. There is a difference between saltwater intrusion and nitrates, and it is different in like Silver Beach. I totally acknowledge that too, but I'm just thinking since we have a lot of people concerned about it, and we don't really know like what the nitrates are in Silver Beach per se, and if there are any concentrated areas. I mean, it was filled in. Silver Beach was, you know, the
Some
whole
places, yeah.
thing was filled in. Well, not the whole
Not
thing,
the whole
but
thing.
a lot of it was filled in. Down by me was filled in, I'm pretty sure. Anything past like down Conic was all. So, but we don't have anything there to know like whether it could be that, like James is saying, it could be not as bad as we think, which is possible. And it's just saltwater intrusion, which maybe we can't help anyway.
Yeah.
Or maybe there are hot spots.
We do actually have some data, and I thought I brought it, now I can't find it, but Joe provided, it was like 1999 to 2016, and it was the results of that people that have had their wells tested by the county. Of course, the spreadsheet has the street, not the number. So, you know, that whole concern about,
Just as the street,
we're
yeah.
gonna FOIA and gonna know about my water quality. There are some numbers. I have myself now requested to bring that list up to date. They're gonna let me know on July 15th, either when and if and how much
Like
it
if they
would
have any
cost.
new data from.
Yeah, we'd have the more accurate data. It still will only be the street. It won't be the street number, which is unfortunate. I think.
But if there's a couple of data points on the street,
Yeah, kind of gives you more of an
figure it out.
idea of the water, you know, the aquifer
Listen,
flow.
it's
and-
possible it's not as bad, you know, it could be not as bad as everyone's thinking.
Well, it's not a bad thing to find out. And that's, you know, and if I was, and I am a homeowner, I would want to know if there's something wrong with my water, you know, and, you know, I don't take it as a, you know, like, whatever, so you want to get it fixed somehow, you know, whatever you have to do.
In our, I was gonna add, like, in our canvassing of our neighborhoods, we created a checklist of talking points so that each representative would go out and be speaking about the same things. And one of the things that we're encouraging people to get water tests, we're saying, you know, this is our area and it might behoove you to go get a water test. And we tell them where you can go and how much it costs and, you know, on your own payment. But we're encouraging people to get water tests to find out
From what Joe has arranged here with the county, I mean, you know, that they're gonna take all the samples at pretty much the same time. The data is they're gonna happen, complete the tests if it starts in the autumn. I mean, it won't be waiting for the year before to find out what the numbers are. You know, I would almost think that if you got 250 houses in Silver Beach and you say, okay, we got, let's say you got 50, would 50 people be interested in saying, I'd like to know my water now. I know that this would be a valuable study for the town. Again, it wouldn't have the numbers, the street numbers, but it wouldn't be FOIA because you can only FOIA government things, yes?
Well, you're asking to foil the Suffolk County Department of
That's
Health
county.
and Water Division, so.
Oh, yes, but it doesn't have the
That's
street
why they
numbers.
won't give you the street number.
Yeah,
Yeah, because that's where you're getting it from, is that not the town?
yeah, yes, I
But it's-
recognize
It's
that.
still government, you see.
Right.
Yeah. So, but, you know, that it can't be FOIA, then we wouldn't have, you know, again, they could, the HOA, they could say, okay, let's take all the numbers off so that the town doesn't have it, and we could have that similar result, which as you know, I wasn't particularly happy with the outcome of the nitrates, but at least it would be, you know, a point to look at and try and
Well,
understand.
Can I ask, what's the status of that now? That it's not over, right? I mean, where are you guys taking it? Do you mind if I, like, what's Joe doing with the
What-
data from the center? All the, what's the short, like, at least short term?
I think what needs to be done is looking at, the comment that, oh, someone gets a bad water test and then they should run right out and do an IA system. What they should look at is whose septic system is upstream from mine. So generally, if you're gonna put in a well and a septic on your property, the well is gonna be far enough away from your septic that you're not drinking your septic, you're drinking somebody else's septic. So what we should be doing is looking at the areas that have higher, percentages of failures, and then try and do something targeted to say, hey, like, this is definitely a problem area, we're gonna start with, number 12. Maybe 12 wasn't a bad one, 11, I think, was a worse area. And so try and target all of the homes in 11 to say, hey, we wanna do a concerted effort to see if we can do something to fix the high numbers that we were getting, and then keep going upstream for those areas. So I don't know if that's something we need to continue moving on. Like, we've got this data, so now it's like, okay, what's the plan for analyzing it and targeting? And we're also looking at, we need to fix what's going into the groundwater, but then what do we do about making sure that section has potable water? Do we have a crisis, or someday we're going to have a crisis that we need to start to think about what's a fix?
Does the WAC have any, ongoing thoughts about that? I mean, as far as what to do?
I
What
would say, no, I don't think so. I think that is, that information, the map with the circles, that was the output. And the cards went out to people and they said that they knew what was being done, but that train has moved over to one meening, Menantic Peninsula, and now it's Silver Beach and Menantic, and I don't know who will be, Shorewood be far behind. The whole business about the precedent, and you guys ought to see what the lawyer says in terms of how we described the funding support for the nitrate study.
Well, it was in essence, it was a different study. Because that was known to be a concentrated area with a
That's
problem.
certainly true. That's certainly true. But I would think that, who knows what people would do if they say, well, damn it, they did it in the center, I don't want to do it here, and I don't want to pay the $100 for it.
I'm thinking,
And I have a hole in my roof. Albert, can I get a town grant to fix my hole in my roof next?
But I think, I'm just thinking out loud here, that the difference could be that some residents are concerned to find out the results to see if they do have a problem with having potable water. I believe some residents feel that that's the town's duty to provide its residents with potable water. Or if they say no, I'm saying this is what, I think
They
people are
may
thinking
feel
like
that,
this.
that's true, but.
Or if not, let's say they say, no, this is our problem because we chose to purchase property here and we're stuck in Silver Beach, then what are we going to do about getting potable water? Like, if there's enough parcels that have this problem, they're gonna have to figure out what they're gonna do, or they may claim the town has to do something about it. But either way, either the town or themselves, I think they're looking for maybe just to determine if there is an issue. Like, if there's no potable water, who is responsible for taking care of that? I think some people think water's different than a roof, than a hole in a roof.
And that's why that's what our role though is,
Yeah.
I guess this committee's role is to say,
Yeah.
you've got nitrate problems, you ought to put in an IA system and your neighbor, and you may or may not help your water coming out. But those 3 houses over there might start to get an improvement. And so everybody's is in
Well,
the same boat as that goes.
Right, but I think it's more of like an ethical question. Some people believe that your township has some responsibility, and other people say, no, it's like completely autonomous, like it's my well.
Your well on your
And my
property.
neighbor's problem.
I
and
suppose
gotta
if you
work it out.
moved into a place with a water system, you know.
Yeah,
in the
then,
beginning,
right.
And, you know, somehow the town owned it, you know, yeah, I mean, that's pretty clear cut, you know, like the Heights has a water system and then that's, you know, if something's coming out bad on that, well, you know, they have. a
Right, they would have to, right, they would
Every-
have
or
to.
during harbor.
Heights owns it, and they will assess themselves
Right.
to fix the problem.
Right, well, I mean, they have to assess, you know, their members.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Right. I mean, and, you know, that's.
So they're not coming to the town for
First, sometimes.
But I guess what I'm trying to say is just two camps of thinking.
That's
That's what we
right.
have, that's what we have to just keep in our mind, that's where this is, I think that's where this is coming.
Yeah, when we're on different camps. I know.
No, I'm speaking hypothetically.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
saying, because I talk to neighbors in Silver Beach, so this is how some people are thinking, not all of them. I'm passing on just, you know.
So I guess we'll see what we see when Joe submits this to us.
So let's go back to the center. So this is not even, you know, it's maybe on the horizon, but we have data from the center. Whatever number you just said, section 11, we know is a bid. Should we then go, I don't hire somebody, I guess, I don't know if that's our job here from this committee, to go door to door and tell people, hey, this area was highlighted, and you should consider, you know, would you consider doing
Well,
the,
that could be a starting place, you're saying,
Yeah.
section 11 or whatever.
Well, I mean, and the door-to-door thing is one step up from what we tried to do.
we are going to actually say, but this, you know, this particular area, I don't know if you did it, and I don't care what your results are, I'm not asking you, but would you consider doing this? And most of the cost
That's
will
on-
probably be covered. Again, we don't know. You get into the complicated.
I mean, you could go, if you made the overture to that section, you could say, we'll cover all the costs. I mean, like, as a one-off thing, maybe, you know?
Also,
You
you-
get Greg's president thing going on, but if we are outreaching and putting, you know, our thoughts, you know,
Well-
this area needs to put IA systems in.
But then if you're gonna pay for it there, then you gotta pay for it
Well-
everywhere.
That's, you know, but, you know,
I was just thinking, you could also look at it in a way, like, since you don't have a lot of people stepping up to want to, like, take a water test or even think about results, and then you do have a group of people who's saying, hey, we're concerned, we're really interested, we'd like to help by, you can come and test our water, you're getting this new body of people, this new data, so you can look at it like people are coming forward and like offering to do it. That's another way to look at it, like just get some information, since you're not really getting people to come out anyway, now they are coming out. That's another way to look at it.
So I'm going to circle back on the question of the center.
Yeah.
Take section 11.
Yeah, which,
Doesn't matter, whichever one you say. You look at this all the time and you understand the data. So,
it's these three here.
okay,
They have the failed units, plus the one, an outlier up here, which is up by St. Mary's, and that had failed.
A failed test, I mean, right?
Yeah, and the question is that we know the school is here, and so if the school outflow was shooting down like this, these three zones,
may be better.
they may,
now.
well, it may be that side of the zone is contaminated, and that side of the zone is pretty good. It may be. We don't have the number of the streets, so we can't tell. It's unfortunate, but it's true.
Well, and then the question is the impact of the school putting in the IA system should have a relatively quick impact.
Joe did not think so. This was probably 2-3 months ago. Joe thought, no, he wasn't sure that it would happen that quickly, but I don't know.
I don't know if any of this can be quantified that quickly.
Yes. Well, I don't know.
You know, you just have to, it's like, I've always said, it's one thing at a time. You gotta, one thing is gonna do it. But I mean, if you get, and, it comes up with, what the town board's wrestling with now about, somehow a trigger that makes people have to put an IA system in.
And as far as the school goes, it's, my understanding anyway, was that the school, their lab, because they have to test it like every quarter, I guess it is, something like that, that the level of nitrates did go down in the well. Now, we also had about
I was gonna say
25 inches,
rain.
25 inches of rain, so it cause and effect, we don't even know, the numbers that we're working with, we're not 100%, they're not.
You could argue that this is not the best time to test, even if you were gonna test in Silver Beach.
Well,
I certainly,
it's nebulous no matter what the situation is. There's so many factors that affect everything that.
it's a third dimension, going how far it got down, how far do you go down?
Right.
As well as down.
Which could be a factor in one of these properties.
Almost without a doubt, I would say. But, if it came down to, and this is something, I guess, if you're a member of the board there, it says, if it came down to, do we want to risk, and I would not want the town to consider that at this point, it would be to say, we're going to test everybody's water. I don't think that's the role of the town. That's somebody owns that well and it's their well, and to do the test that Joe has done, the basic footwork, and I think done a swell job of getting this thing ready to go. And if it's slowed up by who's gonna pay for it, if you've got 60 wells and you say, we're gonna take 40 of Silver Beach and 20 of Monantic Peninsula, and folks, fill in your application, bring it in, and with a check for $100, and you're gonna do well for your environment, for your property. You're gonna find out what's going on. Again, it's not precise, but you have it. And if the HOA is the people that are saying, okay, let's take a look at what this looks like on the map, as long as it doesn't get in any government file, it can't be FOIA'd. And so the concern that people, I don't want to, government, that number will get out and I'm going to have trouble selling my house and someday in the future. So the HOAs should jump on that, I think, and take the work Joe's done and say, okay, folks, that's $100. You know, if somebody that's got a $3 million house probably can chip in.
I mean,
Well,
One thing-
that's what, can I say, that's why we're not waiting, we're encouraging people to get a water test now. That's what I meant when I was saying we're going door to door, we're saying, listen, have you considered getting your water tested? You might want to do this on your own. You know, do it yourself. We're doing that, because we're not waiting, because it could end up not happening,
Yeah,
so, yeah.
I mean, we could reach out to the head, you know, the head of each homeowners association and invite them to one of our meetings.
Well, I had said we should make this trifold brochure on IAs, and we put it out to all the.
We could give it, but, you know, we could do that, but we invite them to the meeting so that we can have a discussion about what their involvement could be
Right.
and give them our thoughts about, you know, IA systems and water in general and,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, and just see, you know, and maybe if we had the nice brochure to say, and here's the thing that you can give your constituents, maybe that would be a good thing.
I think so, what do you think?
yeah.
Tui?
You
Even,
know, I mean, they could just say, no, I'm not interested in coming, but,
Well, at first we had said maybe we would email them something. We didn't actually create that thing yet, but we
Right.
did toss around that idea. Members should email the HOAs.
right, so I mean,
Maybe, again, face-to-face is always better.
I think it would be great, you know, to get them here on a beautiful Thursday evening.
in August, I think. No,
Well, it could be in August, or, you know, if we can
This is
get
July,
this
right?
thing sort of together, I guess. I mean,
Let's do it, let's do it.
yeah, our next meeting after this is in the middle of August, right?
right,
August first.
So,
So we skipped July for, just remind me, why are we skipping July?
For the 4th of July.
Today
This is July's meeting.
Oh, this is,
I won't be here on the first.
okay, so that's,
I mean, even if it was September, you know, it wouldn't be the end of the world, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think it's sort of contingent on
maybe,
Yeah.
let's just do it for the August meeting.
getting our thing, you know, the brochure and stuff, sort of like,
Do we have a brochure?
No, the companies have their own companies, like Fuji Clean and whatever. They have the things they give out at the presentation.
I mean, I'm not great at doing that. That's the problem.
I don't know.
I would think that Fuji Clean has a whole department that just does that.
Well, I mean, we had talked about it a little bit, about getting some of their
Stamp on it.
sales tool stuff and also quantifying some of the results as we looked at all the systems that are in the ground. And not related, well, sort of related, but have you gotten, I saw the contracts going out to
We're doing
several.
all the maintenance renewals.
How, have you gotten any like feedback?
Data.
No, feedback
Feedback.
from those people that you've given the contract to? I mean, are they just, oh, yeah, great, you know,
Most of
here-
them like, oh yeah, okay, and some of them are like, wait, what's this? I thought we paid for this, I'm like, yes, 3 years ago, now you have to renew it every 3 years. So most people don't really have a problem.
okay,
What
good.
is it, how much does it cost?
It's gone up, it was 900, but it's 1175
For 3 years?
because it includes pump out.
Oh, okay.
Before pump out wasn't included, and so then the homeowners would have to do that themselves, and then they were never planning for it, and it was always a surprise. So instead, it's been built in, so it's not a surprise, it's something we take care of.
You have to pump out to do the testing.
No,
Every,
no, it's
That's
every,
part of the
it's
service.
part of the service. Yeah, and most people now are into year like 4, 5, 6, so they'll require some kind of pump out.
so it's a 3-year contract and it's 3 pump outs, it's 1 pump out.
It's one
One pump
The
out, like
county
in 5 years.
requires- The county requires a 3-year O&M contract.
Right.
It's a county requirement. And so they keep track of all the maintenance. So every time you do a service, every time you do a maintenance, we have to submit a report to the county stating that we've done it. This is what our findings were. this is, and then every time we pump out, we have to send them a notice saying, the tank required pump out, this was the sludge level, this was the scum level, this were the nitrates, this were the, So, that's whole part of the county process. And that's whether you get a grant or not. It's just, if you put in an IA system, the county has a mandatory maintenance requirement to make sure the systems are running the way they're supposed to. So it's part of the process. And all the pricing for that is on the county website. If you go to the Reclaim Our Water website, it actually has a list of all the vendors who are certified to install for the grant. It also has a list of all the different maintenance contracts, and they vary depending on who the service provider is, where they're located. So the prices vary greatly. So I always tell people to go online, look at the list, and contact like 3,000 people who they want to work with.
Is it conceivable you could have somebody install it and somebody else maintain it?
Yes.
Okay, I think that's.
So just touching base on the brochure thing.
Yeah.
Well, the question is, can some company like Fuji Clean provide a brochure that
Well, I think it has to
it's
be
whiz
not,
bang? It
not,
doesn't say.
it needs to be not so generic.
Well, first you have to
I think
figure
it
out
needs
what
to-
what you want, the content. Like for the Silver Beach Association, we just used, what's her face, Louise Clark did our, she's very, I mean, we provide all the content, sorry, and then she laid it out and then said, how does this look? Do you like this? So you can really have any graphic designer just do it for you. You just have to know what you want to put in. And like the data, you could get the data from Fuji Clean, let's say, and to show how great IAs are and then plot
Data
that.
from the county. The county has information on all the different technologies because they've been testing it. So they can give you the latest for all the technologies, and you can put that in there. It shows you how they're averaging out over time.
That's on the Reclaim Our Water site?
Yeah,
It seems like it's years behind. Is it updated now? Did they, I think when the thing crapped out there, when.
yeah, I don't know when the last time they posted was. I don't know if it's 2022 or 2023 numbers, I'm not sure. I don't know when the last time they updated the website was. The hacking kind of put them back.
I think the first question we have to ask ourselves is, do you think a brochure is a worthy venture? I mean, before we start talking about who's gonna make it and what kind, I mean, do you think it's worth having something when we canvass an area? I mean, I do, but.
I think it's worth it because, people, need, it helps to have something in their hand,
I think having something.
Isn't there something, a Suffolk County brochure or something like that already up there?
Reclaim Our Water one?
Yeah, isn't it?
There is, I think, right? Reclaim Our Water.
I mean, I
Is it
think
one?
that
I have
we're
to look
talking
at it.
about reinventing a wheel.
But can I ask, what does it look like? Is it very sterile looking? I don't know. I'd have to see what it looks like. See what it's like.
I think it needs to be somehow customized.
It has to.
It may-
be something
maybe,
that's
you're
us.
taking-
We want people to do our grant too. It's from the town and we want them to reach out to WQI so that we can't, but maybe the content, maybe some content in there could be useful.
There's some great brochures from Connecticut about this stuff, IAs and all.
So we could maybe borrow from them.
Plagiarize, like no one else is working.
Exactly.
Plagiarize. Don't shade your eyes, plagiarize.
Okay, what's next?
Well,
The last
financial
thing.
report.
There's been no change from the last, from 3 weeks ago. Anything, we didn't grant anything.
But now we're paying something.
This is the only brochure that's out there. This says handle it. It says maintain septic system.
It's a handle.
It says handle it.
God, it's terrible.
But that's what we've got out there.
Oh, never mind, that went over.
So maybe we need to
Some of us might think-
upgrade.
It's like it's been spiced up too.
Yeah, this is not good. I'm not passing that
Hey,
out.
but there was one out there, give me a,
It's just about maintenance though. It's
No, but what, I mean, but what Greg's saying is like, there could be some, if someone could lift some ideas from it, right? It's but
Well, all right, so let's think about what that content would look like. You know, if we can go to reclaim our water, they must have something there, or we can get some data. We can maybe get a couple of people to say how great it was.
well, I'm gonna have this clip
Right.
ready for next time, but that's like a social media thing.
But
that-
we
yeah,
could
that's different.
we could use that person.
We could use them as a quote,
As a
the way you
quote.
put quotes in and, you know, yeah, we could do that, so.
And we need some kind of funky picture of, you know, beautiful.
A big hole in the ground.
Big hole in the ground, yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, you should do,
Yeah.
take a picture of somebody's property being like.
Like-
I have pictures of failures if you need to see a failed system.
Yes, all right.
I can send you those. I can send you pretty ones after they're all done and people have planted landscaping, whatever. Send you
So
those.
can you just send us
Yeah,
stuff that
some,
you
some
think
like
would,
nice pictures and bad pictures, no, that, honestly, that could be useful.
I mean, you
To show.
or the one with the pickup truck stuck in the IA system?
Preferably not.
Oh, God.
Okay, we won't do that one either.
Like different jokes for IAs, no, okay.
So, old business that anybody would like to, have any new business, any new business?
No, but I was gonna say for this next meeting,
Wait.
shouldn't we all like, sorry, what, what's fun?
Shouldn't we all, go ahead.
Oh, you want me to stop talking so we can get out of
You were
here?
raising your hand.
Oh, you're right, sorry, I wasn't looking that way, so I'm sorry. No, I was gonna say, should we each like just like throw in some ideas for a brochure, like we could all take
Just
a little piece.
email it.
Just, yeah, do you wanna email it to me and just like
Yeah.
any ideas, like little parts of it that you wanna do? Things that come to mind, like
That's fair
content
enough.
that you want, you might have, you know, Greg might have some mathematical,
And Louise is fine, you know, she's great, I like Louise.
her prices are good too.
Yeah.
Okay, now sorry, you go.
New business?
No, I have a new business. I make a motion.
Oh, you. Sorry.
That's the new bit, that's the new business? Okay, what motion would you like to make?
That we adjourn the meeting.
Okay, a second.
So we're not gonna have a repeat of the time we sat here for 3 days, because he was down in Argentina.
This is so funny. I never even did it, this is hilarious.
With the face on the toilet seat.
Yeah. They're all the books.
There, fish.
Books that we exchange books.